I'm looking for a young man between 18 and 25 years old. Must be of normal build. I want to butcher you and eat your delicious flesh. These chilling words, ripped from the darkest corners of the internet, send shivers down the spine. This is the terrifying reality of Armin Meiwes, the Rotenburg cannibal. His tale compels us to confront uncomfortable truths about the human psyche, the power of fantasy, and the unsettling reality that evil can often wear a disarmingly normal face. Before Jeffrey Dahmer's crimes shocked the world, there was Armin Meiwes. Unlike serial killers who preyed on the innocent, Meiwes sought out individuals who desired death. His story challenges our understanding of good and evil, forcing us to confront the darkness that can fester within the human heart. Armin Meiwes' journey into darkness began in Rotenburg, Germany. Born in 1961, his father was a police officer while his mother cast a long shadow of emotional turbulence. Armin would later recount his mother as a domineering figure, her love a conditional commodity. The opulent mansion they called home stood in stark contrast to the emotional wasteland within. Armin's two older half-brothers fled the home, leaving him alone to navigate his mother's volatile emotions. The departure of his brothers marked a turning point in Armin's life. He became the sole focus of his mother's controlling nature, treated more like a servant than a son. His father's presence vanished entirely when Armin was just 6 years old, leaving him to grapple with abandonment and his mother's resentment. Starved for affection, young Armin sought solace in books. Within the pages of Robinson Crusoe, he encountered a passage on cannibalism that took root in his mind. Armin found himself drawn to the idea of consuming another human being, seeking a connection that transcended the physical world. As Armin grew older, his disturbing fantasies lay dormant. At 19, he joined the West German army, seeking structure and belonging. Military life offered a temporary reprieve, but true intimacy remained elusive. At 32, defeated and adrift, Armin returned to his childhood home to care for his aging mother. Little did he know that a new chapter in his life was about to begin, plunging him further into his darkest desires. The early 1990s witnessed the rise of the internet, a world of boundless possibilities and a hidden underbelly. Armin Meiwes, trapped in his childhood home, found himself drawn to this new digital frontier. The internet offered anonymity and connection, a place where his darkest desires could find expression. In the dimly lit corners of early online forums, he could shed the weight of his loneliness. During one of his late-night voyages online, Armin stumbled upon the Cannibal Cafe. This online gathering place catered to a niche and deeply disturbing interest: cannibalism. For Meiwes, the discovery of the Cannibal Cafe was a revelation, a world where his darkest desires were met with understanding. He began to interact with other members, sharing his fantasies and finding acceptance. The Cannibal Cafe became his sanctuary, a place where he could be his truest, most disturbing self. Emboldened by the acceptance he found within the Cannibal Cafe, Armin Meiwes began to explore his desires with renewed fervor. He created his own website, a macabre gallery dedicated to his gruesome fantasies. He posted photographs depicting raw meat arranged to resemble human body parts. His online persona transformed into something bolder, more confident. He embraced the moniker of Master Butcher, his posts becoming increasingly graphic. The anonymity of the internet provided a sense of safety for Armin. However, as his involvement in the Cannibal Cafe deepened, the line between fantasy and reality began to blur. He posted a message seeking a willing participant to share his fantasies. The response was swift and overwhelming, with some expressing genuine interest. Armin Meiwes had tapped into a hidden undercurrent of human depravity. As responses to his message poured in, Armin grappled with a deluge of emotions. He engaged in private conversations with potential candidates, outlining his requirements and need for consent. He emphasized that he was not a monster, but a man seeking a specific form of connection. Each conversation brought him closer to the edge of a precipice. He was unable to resist the allure of his own darkness. Armin's online inbox became a repository of the macabre, a digital confessional for individuals grappling with their own mortality. He received messages from those seeking escape from physical pain, and those consumed by a morbid fascination with their own demise. Armin approached each message with a mix of detachment and empathy. He responded to some, engaging in lengthy exchanges that explored their motivations and desires. Others he ignored, their pleas unanswered. Amidst the deluge of messages, one name emerged: Bernd Jürgen Brandes. A 43-year-old computer engineer from Berlin, Brandes's life was a study in contrasts. Beneath the veneer of normalcy, a deep-seated despair festered. Brandes had been grappling with his own mortality for years, his thoughts consumed by a longing for death. Brandes reached out to Armin, his message a beacon of despair in a sea of darkness. The initial exchanges between Armin and Brandes were cautious, each man testing the limits of their shared desires. Armin outlined his requirements in detail, emphasizing the importance of consent. Brandes was unwavering in his desire to be consumed, responding with chilling calmness. As their online conversations progressed, a strange intimacy developed between the two men. A pact was forged, a bond of darkness and desire that transcended the virtual world and spilled over into the realm of the real. On March 9, 2001, after weeks of online exchanges, Bernd Jürgen Brandes boarded a train from Berlin to Rotenburg. He carried with him a small bag containing a few personal items and a chilling sense of purpose. He was headed towards his own demise, his final destination, the home of Armin Meiwes. Meanwhile, Armin prepared for Brandes's arrival with a chilling meticulousness. He cleaned his home, a quaint half-timbered house in the quiet German countryside, transforming it into a macabre stage for the act of consumption he had so meticulously planned. He purchased a new video camera, its lens poised to capture every detail of the encounter. As the day wore on, a strange sense of anticipation hung in the air, a palpable tension that crackled with a mixture of fear and excitement. The mundane routines of everyday life continued around them, oblivious to the darkness that was about to unfold within the walls of Armin's home. Brandes arrived at Armin's home in the late afternoon. The two men, who had only ever interacted through the digital veil of the internet, greeted each other with a strange mix of formality and familiarity. They were both acutely aware of the weight of the moment, the gravity of the act they were about to undertake. Armin offered Brandes a beer, and they sat together in the kitchen, their conversation a strange mix of small talk and morbid curiosity. They discussed their plans for the evening, the details of their agreement, their shared desire to make this experience as memorable as possible. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the room, they moved to the upstairs bedroom. It was here, in this seemingly ordinary space, that Armin Meiwes would cross the Rubicon, his actions forever cementing his place in the annals of criminal history. They were about to embark on a journey into the abyss, a descent into the darkest recesses of human desire and depravity. The air in the room was heavy with a strange mixture of apprehension and anticipation. This was not a scene of forced captivity, of a victim cowering in fear. Brandes, remarkably composed, participated willingly in the unfolding horror. He ingested a cocktail of sleeping pills and alcohol provided by Armin, numbing his senses and blurring the edges of reality. Armin, ever meticulous, had purchased a new video camera to document the entire event. The camera lens, cold and impersonal, captured the unsettling intimacy of their interaction. It recorded Brandes signing a handwritten contract, a chilling testament to his consent, his desire to become a willing participant in his own demise. Before proceeding with the gruesome act, Armin, in a moment of perverse camaraderie, suggested they consume Brandis's penis together. Brandis agreed, his consent a chilling echo of their shared desire to transcend the boundaries of conventional morality. Armin, using a large kitchen knife, severed Brandis's penis, the camera capturing the gruesome act in graphic detail. They attempted to cook the severed organ, seasoning it with garlic, salt, and pepper, as if preparing a commonplace meal. The camera lingered on the scene, capturing the mundane details of their culinary efforts, the sizzle of flesh in the pan, the aroma of spices filling the air. However, the cooked organ proved too tough, inedible. The act, intended as a shared experience, a perverse communion, was thwarted by the realities of human anatomy. The failure of their culinary experiment seemed to underscore the absurdity of their undertaking, the unsettling juxtaposition of the mundane and the macabre. Undeterred, Armin helped the heavily bleeding Brandis into the bathtub. Every 15 minutes, with chilling regularity, Armin checked on his guest, expecting him to succumb to blood loss and the effects of the drugs. Yet, Brandis clung to life, his survival an unexpected obstacle in Armin's meticulously crafted plan. Hours passed, the silence punctuated by the dripping of the faucet and Armin's growing impatience. Finally he returned to the bathroom, his face a mask of grim determination. "Sorry," he uttered, his voice devoid of emotion, "you're taking too long." He leaned down and kissed Brandis on the forehead, a final act of perverse tenderness before ending his life. With a chilling calmness, Armin slit Brandis's throat, ending his suffering and initiating the final stage of their macabre pact. What followed was a scene of methodical butchery, captured in graphic detail by the ever-present camera. Armin, working with the precision of a practiced butcher, dismembered Brandis's body, carefully separating flesh from bone. The air, thick with the metallic scent of blood, was punctuated by the sounds of his gruesome work, the scraping of knives, the thud of flesh hitting the floor. Over the next several hours, Armin transformed his home into a macabre abattoir. He carved Brandis's flesh into portions, wrapping them in plastic wrap and labeling them with chilling precision. He stored these gruesome parcels in his freezer alongside ordinary food items, the mundane and the macabre sharing space in a grotesque tableau. He buried Brandis's skull in his garden, marking the spot with a small stone. The skull, a chilling reminder of their pact, would serve as a macabre centerpiece in his garden. Over the next 8 months, Armin Meiwes would consume over 40 pounds of Brandis's flesh. He prepared the meat in various ways, sometimes frying it with vegetables, other times serving it with elaborate garnishes, as if attempting to elevate the act of cannibalism to a grotesque form of fine dining. He ate alone, his meals a solitary ritual, a testament to the depths of his depravity and the isolation that had fueled his desires. Months passed, and the memory of that gruesome night in Rotenburg began to fade into the recesses of Armin Meiwes's mind. He had successfully carried out his macabre fantasy, his hunger for human flesh seemingly satiated, at least for now. The evidence of his crime lay hidden in his freezer, neatly packaged and labeled, a chilling testament to the depths of human depravity. Despite the apparent success of his gruesome act, a part of Armin craved recognition, a validation of his experience. The isolation that had driven him to seek connection through cannibalism now compelled him to share his story, to find others who would understand, even admire, his actions. Driven by a need to relive and boast about his horrific act, Armin returned to the digital realm that had brought him and Brandis together. He logged back into the cannibal cafe, his fingers flying across the keyboard as he composed a detailed account of his experience. His words, laced with a disturbing mix of pride and detachment, painted a vivid picture of the events that had transpired in his home. Thousands of miles away, in the quiet confines of his dorm room, a student in Innsbruck, Austria, scrolled through the depths of the internet. He stumbled upon Armin's posts on the Cannibal Cafe, his curiosity piqued by the sheer depravity they described. The student, accustomed to the often outlandish claims and dark humor that permeated online forums, initially dismissed the posts as morbid fantasy, the ravings of someone seeking attention. However, as he delved deeper into Armin's posts, he was struck by the chilling level of detail, the graphic descriptions of the dismemberment, the matter-of-fact tone in which Armin recounted the consumption of human flesh. He began to suspect that these were not the ramblings of a disturbed mind, but the confessions of a cold, calculating killer. Haunted by what he had read, the student wrestled with a moral dilemma. Should he dismiss the posts as the work of a sick mind, or should he contact the authorities risking ridicule but potentially saving lives? His conscience gnawed at him, the weight of his discovery pressing down on him with increasing urgency. Torn between disbelief and a growing sense of dread, the student made a decision that would have far-reaching consequences. He contacted the Austrian authorities, relaying the disturbing details he had uncovered online. He provided them with Armin's username, the name Master Butcher, and a chilling account of the crimes he had confessed to on the Cannibal Cafe. The Austrian police, taking the student's claims seriously, contacted their counterparts in Germany. An investigation was launched, spearheaded by Detective Stefan Merkel, a seasoned investigator known for his meticulous approach to even the most bizarre cases. On December 10, 2002, almost 2 years after Bernd Jürgen Brandes had entered Armin Meiwes' home, never to be seen alive again, German police descended upon the unassuming house in Rotenburg. Armed with a search warrant, they entered the house, their every sense on high alert. The interior of the house was deceptively normal, the furniture ordinary, the walls adorned with unremarkable paintings. The initial search of the house yielded nothing unusual. Then they opened the freezer. Inside, neatly stacked beneath boxes of frozen pizza and bags of vegetables, were plastic containers filled with what appeared to be meat. Armin, maintaining his facade of normalcy, calmly informed the officers that it was wild pig meat, a common sight in rural German households. However, a closer inspection revealed the chilling truth. Some of the meat still bore traces of human skin. The game was up. The discovery of human remains in Armin Meiwes' freezer sent shockwaves through Germany. The nation, still grappling with its dark past, recoiled in horror at the depravity of his crimes. The media descended upon Rotenburg, transforming the quiet town into a macabre spectacle. The world watched in morbid fascination as the details of Meiwes' crimes, captured on the videotapes he had meticulously filmed, were revealed in court. The trial of Armin Meiwes was unlike any other in German legal history. At the heart of the case lay a chilling question: could a person consent to be eaten? Meiwes' defense team, led by the renowned attorney Harold Ermel, argued that Brandes had willingly participated in his own death, that his consent negated the crime of murder. They presented Meiwes as a deeply disturbed individual, driven to his horrific acts by a lifetime of loneliness and trauma. The prosecution, however, painted a different picture. Led by the formidable Hans Hermann Eckert, they argued that Brandes, driven by his own psychological demons, was not of sound mind when he agreed to be consumed. They presented Meiwes as a calculating predator, who had exploited Brandes' vulnerabilities to satisfy his own grotesque desires. In 2004, the court reached a verdict. Armin Meiwes was found guilty of manslaughter, not murder, and sentenced to 8.5 years in prison. The verdict, a reflection of the complexities of the case and the legal gray area surrounding consensual cannibalism, sparked outrage among the German public. The prosecution, unsatisfied with the lenient sentence, appealed the verdict. In a retrial held in 2006, the court overturned the original ruling. This time, Meiwes was found guilty of murder and sentenced to life in prison. The new verdict, a victory for the prosecution, and a reflection of the public's revulsion at Meiwes' crimes, brought a sense of closure to a case that had captivated and horrified the nation. Today, Armin Meiwes remains incarcerated, his gruesome legacy a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of seemingly ordinary lives. His case continues to spark debate and discussion, raising unsettling questions about the nature of consent the power of the internet to connect individuals with shared desires, and the very limits of human depravity. The story of Armin Meiwes, the Rotenburg cannibal, stands as a stark reminder that the monsters we fear most are often not the stuff of nightmares, but flesh and blood individuals, driven by desires and impulses that defy comprehension. It is a story that continues to haunt us, forcing us to confront the darkest corners of our own humanity,